Alright, who's ready to fight Safi'Jiva?
Greetings.
Oh, I guess we have to listen to these guys talk some more first.
Gather around, everyone. Let's run down what we know. The 5th discovered a new area in the Guiding Lands that resembles the Hoarfrost Reach, and sighted a subspecies of Xenogre to boot. Thanks to their efforts, it looks like we'll be able to start a thorough investigation of the region. Good work, you guys. Then there's that molted skin we found deep within the earth. And to add to all that, our team sighted some enormous red monster.
Correct. This gigantic monster has several unique
I've got to
traits,
remember to change his
and I
outfit.
attempted to compare it to documented monsters, but unfortunately not everything adds up. We may have a completely new, unknown monster on our hands. But wasn't that Safi'Jiva down there? Given how we found the place, it must have matured and molted its skin numerous times.
We can't say for certain, which is why we must investigate at once.
Got that right. Boss man, I have an idea. We'll go in with a small group to do some recon. Once we figure out what that thing is, we'll return with a larger group to start the investigation proper. For all we know, we could be going up against a 3-headed monster that shoots lightning bolts. That's why before we get down to business, we need to observe it. Figure out what makes it tick.
This thing must be something if you're not willing to go in head first, but I understand. We'll do it your way. Just promise me you'll turn back before you get in over your heads, all right?
Understood. We won't tell it for very long. Well then, I'll go about...
Partner!
Your
I guess
curiosity's
that was
getting
me
the better of
volunteering?
you, huh, kid? Don't worry. I know the feeling.
There is no one better suited for the job than you, Hunter.
All right, let's go over this one more time. First, we'll ready a special assignment just for this occasion. Then once we launch a full-scale investigation, we'll call for all available hunters to assemble in the gathering hub. The objective of this recon assignment will be to observe the monster's behavior. It probably goes without saying, but feel free to bring any other hunters that you can trust. We'll launch the full-scale operation once you return to base and we're able to examine your findings. That should cover everything. Stay safe out there.
While you face off against the beast, I shall concentrate on trying to discover its true nature.
All right. Looks like we got everything sorted out. Hunters, to the gathering hall.
Once you've viewed that cutscene, you can head up to the gathering hall and talk to this lady right here. Now this is available as a multiplayer quest. I'm currently doing it solo, but if you got friends and you want to drag them along, that's perfectly okay. It's kind of like a siege setup, so if you're familiar with the cool Teroth siege, it's not much different. And then this cutscene's a little odd, and it might just be my graphics setting, but I think Safi'Jiva is supposed to open its eye here, and it doesn't really look like it. And again, that just might be my lower graphics setting. I can't run this game on high graphics, otherwise my computer dies.
Don't get reckless.
And it was at this point I realized I had forgotten to eat and prepare for this fight, so I went and did that real quick.
Everyone, on the wing drakes!
Ooh, dang. The heck is this smell? Be on your guard out there.
And so the fight begins. Got a nice introductory roar right there. Good to know some things never change no matter how big the monster. Now, a big focus on this fight is weakening the different body parts using your Clutch Claw attack. And if you don't do that, your weapons kind of just bounce off of the armor. Another thing that's good to keep in mind is that Safi'Jiva's attacks depending on where you are around it. So it doesn't always have to be facing you in order to deal damage. And my Palico there with a nice blast element flinch. At this point I was testing to see if you could turn Safi with Clutch Claw attack, and you couldn't. I haven't tried using the slinger ammo to send it into the wall. You might be able to do that, I just didn't really try during this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't, but I mean you can slinger... what's her name? Derpy Face. Sharishvalda. That's it.
I think you can knock down those boulders onto his head with your slinger.
It's actually not a bad idea, Handler. Let me give that a try. There are other environmental hazards in this ring, not just that boulder. I went and I did this another time with the clanmate, and we got Safi stuck in the floor. So the more that we collectively play this fight, we're gonna learn more about this arena and ways to deal more damage to Safi.
Proceed with caution. Split up, wear it down, and keep chipping away at it.
Ow! So that attack is actually a homing beam. Here, she's doing it again. I dodged incorrectly, but Safi, actually tracks where you're going. And if you don't dodge or change direction at just the right moment, she's going to predict where you're going to be. So normally monsters shoot where you are, not where you're going to be. Safi has a neat little AI where for that one attack, she actually plans ahead and checks where you're going to be, and then shoots the laser beam there. As you can see from that time she just spammed that attack, that there is a long tell beforehand. She opens her mouth wide and the energy just gathers and gives you plenty of time to plan for that incoming attack. Pretty much all of the other laser attacks though are your bog standard laser attacks. Now you can see right here the difference between the softened monster part and the not softened monster part. Against the softened monster part, my attack was doing about 50 damage. Against the non-softened knee in the back there, it was only doing about 10.
I think you can knock down those boulders onto its head with your slinger.
I really wanted that tail, but unfortunately I just wasn't able to get it off. I'm not sure if you actually can in this recon mission, but I was trying. Let me know in the comments if you guys were able to break that tail off.
The target's beginning to move.
Once you deal enough damage, Safi actually heals up and then moves further down into the second stage of the fight.
Everyone, on the wing drakes, head towards the opening.
It's not unlike the two-phase fight of Safi'Jiva.
Is it heading further down in search of more energy?
The lower levels may contain even more energy for it to suck up.
Hey, check out those clouds protruding out of the ground. We might be able to use them as cover. It's after you! Watch out! Watch yourself!
At this stage of the fight, Safi'Jiva gets a behemoth-like targeting system. Now, since I was the only person in this fight, I was the only one for it to target, but this would be a good way of knowing when you're safe to break off and change mantles, or chug a potion, or something along that line. For me personally, I didn't find this phase of the fight to be that much different from the first. Safi does gain a few new, I guess, wider area of effect moves, and takes less downtime between attacks, but it's not all that different. And you do have the added bonus of you now have these crystal crags, whatever they are, to get between you and any energy beams she fires.
Poking out, or it's your butt. I don't think any creature could survive that attack.
And once Safi does that final attack, the mission is over. You have to make sure you're hiding behind one of these crags, otherwise you're gonna faint, and you could potentially fail the mission if you don't have enough faints left. But that's pretty much it. And once you finish the mission and collect all your rewards, you want to head over here and talk again to the first Wyverian hunter.
Well done.
It absorbed energy from its surroundings?
That's correct. By doing so, it managed to naturally heal all of its wounds. Once it consumes a certain amount of energy, it heads for an even deeper location. We weren't able to verify it, but we believe it exhausts each area of energy before moving on. That's the theory coming from analytics.
During the recon, I did my best to observe the area and surrounding ecology. What I discovered was an almost unfathomable difference, even between neighboring regions. You say that creature was absorbing energy, correct? This may be an absurd hypothesis, but perhaps that creature can control the energy it absorbs. It may be reshaping the very nature of these ecologies to meet its own needs.
How is it possible that something like that could even exist?
There's only one monster that I can think of that absorbs the energy of other creatures to speed its own growth.
Your initial assumption was correct. It must be an adult version of Safi'Jiva. It may be doing this for its own preservation and propagation.
That thing doesn't play well with others. There's no way these areas it's reshaping are for anything but itself. If a monster like that is allowed to multiply, this entire world's doomed.
It may have disappeared this time, but I have no doubt it'll return to the same location soon.
And we'll be waiting for it. Until then, we need to prepare. All right, everyone, you know what to do. Dismissed.
And with that cutscene viewed, you can feel free to replay that investigation at any time. You just have to go to the Gathering Hub, talk to that lass again, and set off. Alright, and Stygian Zinogre can now appear in the Guiding Lands. And that does it for the Safi'Jiva investigation. I'm still really bad at this whole outro thing, so maybe check the comments, check the description. You can find things in there like a link to my Patreon, a link to my Discord server, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Stay frosty, my friends, and I will see you next time.